Imagine sitting in a classroom where the teacher doesn't just lecture, but asks probing questions. Questions that challenge everything you thought you knew. Picture a space where the goal is not to simply memorize information, but to understand, to question, and to think critically about every piece of knowledge that comes your way. This approach to education is rooted in one of the most influential teaching methods of all time, the Socratic Method. Although it originated over 2,000 years ago, the Socratic Method still has a profound impact on modern education, providing students with an opportunity to explore ideas in depth and develop a keen sense of intellectual independence. In today's world, where the sheer amount of information we encounter daily can feel overwhelming, the ability to think critically, ask insightful questions, and engage in deep dialogue is more important than ever. The Socratic Method, which encourages learning through questioning and discussion, offers a solution to this challenge by promoting intellectual skills that are essential in our complex, rapidly changing society. As we take a deeper look at this age-old technique, we'll explore how the Socratic Method is being applied in contemporary classrooms, its effectiveness in fostering critical thinking, and how it relates to Socrates' original concept of virtue. At the unfolding journey, we embark on a quest for knowledge, exploration, and understanding, just like Socrates did in ancient Greece. In today's fast-paced world, it's easy to feel like we are simply absorbing information without taking the time to reflect, question, or truly understand it. But that's exactly what we do here. We seek to engage, learn, and challenge ideas, creating a space where curiosity is celebrated and intellectual growth is prioritized. Throughout this channel, we'll take you on a journey through history, philosophy, and critical thought, delving deep into the ways that ancient ideas, such as those of Socrates, continue to shape modern society. From discussions on ethics to debates about the future of education, we are here to foster a community of learners who are not afraid to ask difficult questions and search for deeper meaning in everything they encounter. If you're passionate about intellectual exploration and uncovering the hidden gems of knowledge, you've come to the right place. Now, let's dive into the heart of today's topic, the Socratic Method and its continued relevance in modern education. The Socratic Method, as developed by the ancient Greek philosopher Socrates, is a form of cooperative argumentative dialogue between individuals. This method is based on asking and answering questions to stimulate critical thinking, uncover assumptions, and promote deep reflection on the issues at hand. In the context of modern education, this approach provides students with a dynamic alternative to traditional learning methods, which often focus on rote memorization and passive absorption of knowledge. The Socratic Method's core principles. At its core, the Socratic Method is based on the idea that asking the right questions leads to deeper understanding and better intellectual development. Socrates believed that knowledge is not something that can be directly imparted to students. Rather, it must be drawn out through questioning. In essence, the role of the teacher is not to provide answers, but to guide students toward discovering answers for themselves through thoughtful dialogue. The key elements of the Socratic Method include inquiry-based learning. Instead of passively receiving information, students actively engage in discussions that encourage them to examine and question their beliefs, assumptions, and the underlying principles of various concepts. Critical thinking. The Socratic Method challenges students to think deeply and critically about what they know, pushing them to examine different perspectives and evaluate evidence and reasoning. Dialogical approach. Rather than lecturing, teachers facilitate discussions in which students ask questions, respond to one another, and collaboratively explore ideas, often leading to new insights and understanding. Intellectual humility. Through questioning, students are encouraged to recognize the limits of their knowledge and understand that there is always more to learn. Implementing the Socratic Method in contemporary classrooms. In modern education, the Socratic Method has found its place in a variety of disciplines, from philosophy and literature to law and science. It is particularly prevalent in higher education, where it is used in seminars, debates, and discussion-based courses to encourage critical reflection and intellectual engagement. However, the Socratic Method is not limited to college classrooms. It has made its way into primary and secondary schools as well. For example, in English literature classes, teachers may use Socratic questioning to guide students through the process of analyzing complex texts, encouraging them to explore themes, character motivations, and narrative structures in a way that goes beyond surface-level interpretation. In science, students may engage in Socratic questioning to hypothesize about phenomena, analyze experimental data, and explore the implications of scientific discoveries. There are several ways that educators apply the Socratic method in the classroom. Asking open-ended questions. Teachers pose questions that require more than a simple yes or no answer. These questions encourage students to elaborate, consider multiple viewpoints, and engage in deeper reasoning. Encouraging student-led dialogue. In many cases, students take on the role of leading discussions, fostering a sense of ownership over their learning. This empowers them to think critically and confidently express their ideas. Fostering a safe space for exploration. Socratic questioning encourages students to express their thoughts without fear of judgment. This allows for a rich exchange of ideas and an open exploration of various perspectives. Challenging assumptions. The Socratic method is especially useful in encouraging students to examine their assumptions about the world. It helps them recognize biases, question stereotypes, and understand the complexity of the issues at hand. The effectiveness of the Socratic method in developing intellectual skills. The Socratic method has been shown to be highly effective in developing a range of intellectual skills that are critical for students' academic and personal growth. Some of the key benefits of this method include enhanced critical thinking. By constantly questioning assumptions and encouraging students to think deeply about complex topics, the Socratic method helps develop critical thinking skills that are essential for problem-solving and decision-making. Students learn to approach problems from multiple angles and weigh the evidence before reaching conclusions. Improved communication skills. Through ongoing discussions and debates, students become more adept at expressing their ideas clearly and persuasively. They learn to listen attentively to others, formulate well-supported arguments, and engage in constructive dialogue. Increased engagement with the material. The Socratic method transforms learning from a passive activity into an active, participatory process. Students are more likely to engage with the material because they are encouraged to take ownership of their learning and explore ideas in depth. Fostering intellectual independence. One of the ultimate goals of the Socratic method is to help students become independent thinkers. By constantly questioning and analyzing, students develop the ability to think for themselves and make informed decisions based on evidence and reasoning. Promoting ethical reflection. In addition to enhancing intellectual skills, the Socratic method also encourages students to reflect on ethical issues and the nature of virtue. This aspect of the method is particularly important in fostering a well-rounded education that not only focuses on intellectual development, but also moral and ethical growth. Socrates and the concept of virtue. Socrates' approach to teaching was deeply intertwined with his views on virtue and ethics. In his philosophical discussions, Socrates often focused on the nature of virtue and how it could be achieved through knowledge and self-examination. For Socrates, virtue was not something that could be taught directly. Rather, it was something that could be discovered through a process of inquiry and reflection. Socrates believed that virtue was closely connected to knowledge. He argued that if people truly understood what was good and right, they would naturally act in virtuous ways. This perspective challenges the traditional view that virtue is something that can be instilled through rules or commands. Instead, Socrates proposed that virtue was a product of the mind, an understanding of the nature of goodness, justice, and the right way to live. The Socratic method, with its focus on questioning and dialogue, is a powerful tool for exploring moral and ethical concepts. Through Socratic questioning, students can engage with the fundamental questions of ethics, such as, what does it mean to live a good life? What is the nature of justice? How should we treat others? These discussions can help students develop a deeper understanding of virtue and how to apply it in their own lives. In modern education, the Socratic method remains a powerful tool for fostering critical thinking, intellectual independence, and moral reflection. By encouraging students to engage in dialogue, ask probing questions, and examine their assumptions, the Socratic method helps develop the skills necessary to navigate an increasingly complex world. Whether in high school classrooms or university seminars, the Socratic method continues to be a valuable approach that encourages students to think for themselves and engage deeply with the material. As we've seen, the Socratic method's focus on critical inquiry and intellectual humility aligns closely with Socrates' broader philosophy on virtue. Just as Socrates sought to challenge his students to think deeply about the nature of goodness and justice, the Socratic method provides students today with the tools to develop a more thoughtful, reflective approach to both intellectual and ethical questions. If you found this exploration of the Socratic Method and its relevance to modern education inspiring, don't forget to subscribe to the Unfolding Journey YouTube channel. Join us as we continue to explore the fascinating world of philosophy, education, and critical thinking. Your journey toward deeper knowledge and intellectual growth starts here. So hit that subscribe button, and let's keep questioning, learning, and growing together.